Hi, and welcome back to the Crafty Author. My name is Anissa. I am the Crafty Author, and welcome to my quilting room. Today, we're going to do a really fun project. I have been working on these for days now, and I am obsessed with them. So I would like to show you what that is because it has been so much fun. I have been making these adorable little notebook holders. So, these have magnetic snaps that I got from Cam Snaps, and I will link below to where you can get these. And if you use my code, you'll get 10% off. So I'll link that down below in the description box. Again, that's at camsnaps.com. Judy is awesome. Here's another one that doesn't have a notebook in it currently. I will have these for sale in my Etsy shop. This is a Mean Girls lined notebook. So these come with a place for your pen to hang out or your pencil, and then your notebook hangs in here. So super fun to make, super fun and easy. And then here's one that I made. This is one of the very first ones that I had done. And that one has the sunflowers. So you're kind of getting the hang of it. If you've been following me on Instagram and TikTok, you have seen these. You have seen me posting these. I've done a few quick little videos on them. So yeah, lots and lots of fun. This one has sewing items in it. Pretty cool. Real simple to make. And then I made a larger one for my larger book here. And this was actually the very first one that I had made. So lots of learning going on with that. Anyway, we're going to just jump right into this, and I'm going to show you how to make it. It's so easy. Okay, so you're going to need backing fabric. You can use regular fabric if you want to, and you can use batting. I am using a piece of vinyl that I got at Hobby Lobby, but you most certainly can use fabric like this, and then you could actually put the batting on the back side of that, and it'll give it a little bit more padding. You also don't need to use batting. You can just go straight with the fabric, but I feel like the batting gives it a little bit more of texture. So I've done it both ways, and I prefer it with the batting if that's the route you're going to take. But this is how I do it. So I take my book, my notebook, as you can see, and this is just a notebook that I picked up at a little cheapy store like the dollar store or something like that, and I fold this in half, and this is going to give me a good idea of where I want to place my book. So what I do, there's really no rhyme or reason to this. I'm going to take my Sharpie just so you can see this, and I mark where I want my lines to be. Now this little spine here, I can tell already, is only a 1/4 inch. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of draw out a 1/4 inch here. And then I'm going to just flip it like that and place my book down again and continue to draw my line around it. This is really, really an easy way to do this. And there are no measurements, so it would be really hard for me to give you direct measurements for this because every one of these little books is going to vary in size. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw it out 3/4 of an inch. You want to make sure that you have enough room, enough seam allowance for your little book, and I find that 3/4 is the magic number. Now it may be different for you depending on what you're working with, but for what I'm doing, this seems to be about the right size for me. So I'm just drawing my lines, And I'm just using the 3/4 inch mark here on my ruler and drawing it down. Again, with the Sharpie, so I hope you can see this. I normally wouldn't use my Sharpie. I would be using a water-soluble pen, but for demonstration's sakes, this is how we're gonna do this. And, okay, so now I have my square drawn, okay? So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my ruler and I'm gonna cut around my edge here. Nothing fancy. And I do save those pieces because I will use it. Okay, so I'm just going to put those aside for right now. And this is what I have. This is going to be the part that fits that covers our book on the outside. So you'll have something like that. The next thing that you're going to want to do is cut out your lining for this. So I am going to take this. Again, I'm not too particular about this and the way that I'm doing it, but I am working with fabric that is directional. So you do want to be careful and mindful of that. So I'm going to put my fabric down on top here. And I'm just going to cut around it like we just did. Now you could measure everything out if you wanted to, but I am not going to do that this time. So if you feel like you want to measure it out, then feel free to do that. Okay, oops. Go. Okay. All right, so now we have our lining piece cut. Okay. The next thing that we need to cut are the sides for our flap, for these flaps to slide into. So I'm gonna measure this real quick and see what we have here, because I think we might have enough off this piece to do it. We do. Okay, so if I do, that makes it 2.5. Okay. I think we're gonna go for it. So I am just going to use what I have here, which is, I'm gonna make my sides 5. I'm gonna cut them 5 inches, which will make them 2.5. And I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to fold them like that in half. So we now have our lining piece and our 2 side pieces. We have our outer piece, and we are done with this. So we'll set that aside. What we need to do next is to make a flap. So I'm gonna cut this going to cut it right about here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm not. I'm going to cut it right about here, which is, and again, your piece for your flap will vary. So this one is 7 inches long, and I do want to cut it down. I want to thin this out. It is currently almost 1.5, but a little bit over, so about 1.25 or 3/4. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut it down to 1.5. And then I will fold this in half. Like so. Now, oh, we got one more step to do here. And we need a piece of elastic. So if you're going to use elastic, then you're going to want to cut it at this point in time and bring it over with you. I cut mine at 2 inches. I feel like that's a good size. You're going to either need some Velcro or you're going to need some snaps. We're working with magnetic snaps, like I mentioned before. So you'll want to have those handy. And now we're ready to go to the sewing machine and start putting this together. All right, so I'm going to sew our little flap down real fast. So this just gives it such a nice finished look. I really, really like this look that it gives. And so you don't necessarily have to do this. You could just fold it in half and put it in and then start stitching. But I really prefer this. I'm going to trim this just a little bit and even it up. Because when I stitched it, I didn't stitch it exactly perfectly, but and that is what it looks like when it's all stitched. So it looks really nice and really professional. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold our flaps in half. So these were our 5-inch pieces. And we are going to leave these raw edges alone, but on our folded edge, we're going to stitch straight down. I got this fabric at Joann's. This is the Clueless fabric from the movie Clueless. My daughter loved that movie growing up, and today is her birthday. So, oops, no, let's not run out of bobbin thread. All right, so I just went ahead and changed my bobbin thread. So now we are ready to start assembling our little cover. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to line up our raw edge to raw edge. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to take my little, my little elastic for my pin, and I'm actually going to put it on the opposite side, up a little higher so it doesn't conflict with my snap. And I am going to start clipping these just a little bit to hold them in place because things tend to move. So clip there, and then I'm going to clip this one over here. Remember, again, raw edge to raw edge, okay? So oops, pulled that out. Okay, and then we have our little flap that we want to put in here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in there. Also, again, raw edge to raw edge, and I'm going to put that underneath my little flap, and I'm going to put it in the center. So I'm going to fold this in half on this side, and then I'm going to snip that vinyl just a little bit so I know right where it's at. So I just give it just a little snip, and that way I will know where to line this up. And then I fold this as well, and I'm also going to give that just a little bit of a little snip, and then that helps me to find the little snip here and line those two pieces up so that they are actually lined up perfectly. And there we go, now it's clipped. So I'm not worried anymore. Okay, and now we're ready to put our top on. So since this is all one way here, it's directional, I'm going to just keep everything directional. And I'm just going to go ahead and just clip. I'm going to put another clip up here. Be careful and pull that. This clip here. You can see how fast and easy this really, really is, and it turns out adorable. And then what we're going to do is we are going to turn this. So I'm going to leave an opening about this big here. So I've marked that so you can see it. Right there, you can see those two blue marks. And now we're going to start stitching. And I'm going to stitch from this blue mark all the way around to my other blue mark, stop. And then we will continue on. So I'm going to stitch that. I did back stitch. Okay, so now we're done with that, and now we are ready to trim the corners, because you're going to want to do that. Make sure you do not cut into your stitching. And now we're going to turn this, and you will need a turning tool for this. So let's turn it inside out. Just be patient. You're putting a lot of stuff through here. So, and if you're working with the vinyl, it's a little bit more difficult to turn vinyl. So you'll need some patience. Okay, now I'm going to take my turner and I'm actually going to put this inside, and I am going to start trying to poke out what I can't get here for some reason. Okay, there we go. That out. There we go. You want to be careful. You don't want to push too hard because you don't want to poke a hole in your fabric. All right, so now we have that done. That part is done. So I'm going to press this seam flat. So I'm going to roll the seam and press it with my fingers, okay? Okay, and that's going to make that so much easier for me to tuck and sew, but come on. I'm going to clip that closed. And now I'm going to make sure that our sides are ready to be popped out. So you'll fold those over once you have everything else done. And then you can see there's our little pencil holder, pen holder. I don't know why I keep calling it pencil. And I'm going to put that one as well. Push those out. Make sure that everything looks good. And there's our flap. Okay, looks great. Now you want to check it. You're going to want to check and make sure that your book is going to fit, and mine is going to fit. As a matter of fact, this is going to be a little bit big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually stitch 1/4 inch. I'm going to top stitch 1/4 inch all the way around my my project here. And so let's start that way. Oh, there. There we go. I like to needle up, needle down first, so I don't want to have any knotting or nesting going on underneath. So that's why I do this when I'm doing my final top stitch. And I'm just going to start stitching. I'm going to do a quick back stitch that way. And like I said, I will stitch this all the way around. Sure you're catching everything right. And I find that by top stitching, it helps to hold the fabric underneath in place. I've done it without doing this, and I really prefer to top stitch it. So you can do it however you'd like, but I really recommend that top stitch. Just gives it that last finishing touch that it really needs and brings everything together. Okay, so we are now done with that part. Make sure that that closed up. It did. awesome. Looks great. Let's make sure that our book fits in there. And it does. And it's looking good. Look at that. Look at that. You see how cool that is? And now all we need to do is install our snaps. So for my punching holes in here, I'm going to be using my Cam Snap Professional Press. I am looking for my pen that I put in here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to mark where I want this to go. So where it looks centered to me, and it looks like right about there is where I want to be. So I'm just going to put a little pink dot so I know, and I might have got that one a little crazy. And I already have my die installed. So this is the all die. I'm going to just give it a press. And it punches that little hole in there for me. And then I am going to do the same thing over here. Got to take that book out though. You don't want to be pressing on that. So I'm just going to do that on this side as well. And this will help us with our snap placement. Okay, we're ready to start putting the snaps in, and I am using my handheld, my professional handheld press. I have lots of presses, but I highly recommend getting one. This one is so easy on your hands, as you can see, and I have arthritis in my hands. And these die presses help so much. So the first snap that we're going to put in, I need to see here. Is that one? I think that goes here. So we're going to put this one in first. And these are my rainbow dies, again from Cam Snap. And I'll link to this below. And I'm going to stick that top cap on top. Isn't that pretty? And I'm just going to slide my tool here, my pliers, and I'm just going to give it a press. Look at that. Easy peasy, right? It's already on there. And that's what it looks like on the inside. So you won't even see it. It's nice and hidden. And now we're going to do what's on our flap. But first I'm going to switch out my die. So I hid things from myself here apparently. Need to use a little screw to pull these out. This is the die that I was working with. And now I'm going to use this die. Super easy, fast. And now I'm going to put this piece on the bottom. Like so. You see how easy that goes in because we punched it with that awl? Boom. It's right there. And I'm just going to put the little cap on top. You'll hear it snap when you do it. And let's make sure that's correct, because it is. All right. If you're ever in doubt, just double check yourself, because you don't want to do it wrong and then have to start over. Trust me, I have done this. Okay. And now that is done. So we're going to put our book back in. That's what it looks like when it's finished. Slide our book back in. Put your pen in there. Close your book. And you have a nice little notebook holder. Isn't that cool? I love it. Look at how cool this is. Isn't that cute? So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. All right, so this is our final finished product. Turned out super cute. Check this out. Not adorable? Look. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Like I said, I will have these for sale in my Etsy store. I still am working on them. I have a few more to do, but I'm getting close. Like I said, I have all of those in there. And so if you're interested, you know, let me know. But if you want to make them yourself, easy peasy, right? If you would like to follow me on social media, the links are down below in the description box. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You get notified each and every time I upload an awesomely cool new video. And I will link everything below for the cam snaps. I can't say enough good things about cam snaps. Don't forget you get 10% off if you use my code. Check this out. I see a little thread I need to trim, but you know, that's okay. Keep on crafting. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.